Hello everyone and welcome to our channel Claim What's Yours. I'm your host Vaughan Reinecker, and today I'd like to ask you a question. How negotiable are your insurers? So whether you deal with a direct insurer or you deal with an insurer through an insurance broker, an authorized financial service provider, how negotiable is your policy contract? So there's certain things that no insurance company can negotiate away. So you can't negotiate away the requirement to have a valid driver's license. So the insurance company can't be a participant, the insurance company, whether direct or through a broker, they can't be participant to any legal act. You can't negotiate away your requirement to have a valid driver's license. The insurance company also can't negotiate away the maximum weight on a truck. So if a truck's traveling on the road and it's licensed to carry 33,000 kilos and your truck is 35,000 kilos, well, that becomes a non-negotiable. You can't negotiate because you're breaking the law. That vehicle is only licensed to carry weight of a certain weight. And if the weight is more, then the functionality of the vehicle is compromised. So the brakes are not designed to carry the extra weight. It's not designed to stop within certain times, and it creates extra wear and tear on the vehicle. So there are certain things that you cannot negotiate away. You also can't negotiate away your requirements to have approved building plans for any improvements you make on the property. And there's qualifications. So if you wanted to know about that, we've got other podcasts that relate to that. So some things you cannot negotiate away. There are, however, other things that you can negotiate away with your insurer, and that's the question. How negotiable is your insurer with you? So can you negotiate away a tracking device on a motor vehicle? In certain instances, yes, you can. You can say to the insurance company, I don't want a tracking device on my vehicle. Well, where do you live, sir or ma'am? Do you live in the metropolis of Johannesburg? And do you drive a particularly high-risk vehicle? In which case, sorry, sir, we're not going to negotiate that away. We're not going to negotiate away either in exchange for a premium or an increased excess. It is a condition of the policy that you must comply with. The answer is, well, I live down in the middle of nowhere. I live in Oudtshoorn, or I live somewhere very remote. The insurance company will say, well, okay, we are happy to take that requirement away. We can negotiate it away. Maybe there's an extra premium that has to apply, maybe an extra excess, and we can actually safely take that away. So what happens when there is a term or a condition that is inserted onto your insurance policy that you don't know about? And the only time that you find out about it is when there's a claim. So the insurance company, and I've been through this exercise, we've got some examples on earlier podcasts. The average personal lines policy is made up of thousands of words, 60-odd pages and 30,000 words. The average commercial policy wording and schedule is 100,000 words and 80-odd pages. So the clause is in there, and you're only going to find out about it when there's a claim. And when there's a claim, the insurance company comes to you and says, that clause applies, we're going to exclude your claim because of that clause. Or that clause applies and we're going to pay you less on your claim because of the application of that clause. How negotiable is your insurer? Can you go to your insurance and say, but I think you've applied the clause incorrectly. I think what you've done is that it applies to everybody, but you singled me out, or I believe that that clause has singled me out, and I've been prejudiced by that clause. So is your insurer, again, negotiable, or are they not prepared to negotiate? So let me give you an example of an instance which occurred a couple of days ago with one of our clients. We are their insurance broker, and the insurance company had inserted a clause onto their policy relating to an increased excess. So the clause is not in the client's favor, it's in the insurer's favor. Very rarely are clauses in the client's favor. That aside, this insurer, I'll give you the whole story. So the insurance company had inserted a clause onto our client's policy which said that if the vehicle is over a certain value, the excess applicable on that vehicle over R1,000,000 is increased from a basic excess amount of 5,000 Rand, or it could be 3,000 Rand, to 15,000 Rand. And the qualifying criteria is they said that the particular vehicle had to meet certain standards. So they're saying anything over R1,000,000 that was also exotic, luxury, and high performance would qualify as a vehicle that would be subject to that increased excess. Our client had a claim. The excess was notified to our client to say, this is the amount of the excess that you're going to pay. And the insurance company said, fine, the claim is agreed. We're going to pay the claim, but we're going to apply this higher excess. So that process was in track and on target. And then in the office, we sat down with our work colleagues and said, sure, something just doesn't sound right here. Let's just go back and have a look at this clause. Our client was notified of this, by the by. They obviously weren't impressed, but they said, listen, yes, those are the policy terms and conditions. So what we did is we sat down in the office, and amongst our staff, we actually had a quick Teams meeting, and we went through the particular clause. And when we looked at the clause, we said, sure, we think the application of this clause is actually quite unfair on our client. So we drafted a little email, it's a point form, and we went back to our insurer. And we said to the insurer, look, we'd like you to have a look at this clause, and we'd like you to reconsider the settlement of this claim. And here are the following reasons that we've justified that we believe the application of this clause to be incorrect for this particular client and for this claim. And we must say, to our great delight, and that's why we deal with this insurer and the individual there. He's a good guy. We said to him, we think the excess clause has been applied incorrectly, and the insurance company came back to us and said, Vaughan, we agree with you. We will pay the full claim without the imposition of that excess, because we think the wording of the excess has been drafted incorrectly and it doesn't apply in this particular instance. So although the claims people internally in the background, in the back room, had done it and we'd all agreed to it, when we went back to the insurer, we said, we'd like to renegotiate this excess after the claim because we think it's been applied incorrectly. And the insurance company came back to us and said, yes, Vaughan, we agree with you. So we must say that's one of the reasons why we deal with this insurer and the individual, because these are things that happen. Sometimes things happen that shouldn't be applied. And that's the question we're asking you again. How negotiable is your insurance company? And how negotiable is the contract? We believe everything can be negotiated other than being illegal. And we'd like to do the same for you. If you'd like to know more and you'd like us to have a look at what you've got in place, that may in fact be negotiable because it's a financial thing. Cost our client extra money. If you'd like to know more, like, subscribe, and send us an email. Thanks.